Welcome to the Postmodern Group. I'm Marcus Vadas. You are watching On Air, and today we are going to talk a little bit about social media, Jim. One of your favorite topics, baby. Gotta do it. Social media, Chris.
Yeehaw.
Don't act so excited. We got a cool guy. I actually saw this guy speak at a big convention in LA recently. His name is Tyler Barnett of Tyler Barnett PR. He's going to tell us a little bit about social media and what you need to do to get it on. Let's meet our guest. Tyler.
Marcus.
Thanks for coming on board, baby.
My pleasure.
So, hot topic, social media. We have had a bunch of advertising gurus on the show, guys who own agencies, guys who started their own companies. All of them, we've talked about social media. Typical broadcast is taking a decline, TV, radio, and print, and social media is on the up and up. Tell us exactly what social media is and how we can take advantage of it.
Let's start by talking about how quickly it's grown. That's something that's really important to recognize, because it's not like social media, just appeared overnight, but at the same time, it's grown significantly in a very short period of time. Mm-hmm. When I first started in PR about 6 years ago, social media was maybe 5–10% of a campaign, if any at all. I mean, really, all a client wanted was their picture on the front of a magazine, their company in the newspaper. They wanted a write-up on the front page of their local paper, or the Wall Street Journal. That was it. Occasionally, we'd get them website hits or blog hits, and we'd say, well, you're getting 1 to 200,000 views more than you would in the paper. Well, it didn't mean anything. I want to see that newspaper. And so when I started my firm about 5 years back, I decided that we were going to enter into the social media not just aggressively, but this is going to be a crucial component to every campaign. Mm. And so the way I started was taking an approach where, traditional media is valuable. It still is. It always will be, I think.
Yeah.
But incorporating all the traditional media techniques that I had learned and developed into all the social networks, social media, search engine optimization, press release optimization. I mean, every aspect of traditional PR has an online component. Even something as simple as a press release now will go 50,000 places other than a journalist's hands.
Okay. Tell me a little bit, we hear optimization, there's optimization after everything. What is that exactly?
Optimization, simply put, is a technique used to get either a press release or a piece of printed material higher up on Google, Yahoo, AOL, etc. Mm-hmm. So when you sit down in front of your favorite search engine and you type in a term, let's say you own a car company and you specialize in convertibles. You want to buy a new convertible. You sit down in front of Google and you type in convertibles. Well, all those results that you see pop up that are not paid for, I'm talking about that middle window there, those are natural results. In order to get yourself up there, it has to be your website, your materials have to be optimized. From a real simple standpoint, you could look at keywords. So for example, if you issue a press release and it's filled with keywords such as convertible, cars, tires, locations, etc., Google will recognize that. Mm-hmm. Going a bit further, if you link to your site from keywords that are related, so for example, in the press release, if you link the word convertible to your website, it'll then associate that word, convertible, with your website. Going even further, and perhaps most importantly, and what we really specialize in, is third-party endorsement. When you have another website talking about your site, that's a form of optimization. Okay. Third-party endorsement is by far the most effective means of getting somebody to your site or somebody to look at your business.
Does that third-party endorsement have to be a huge third party, or does it just need to be a third party?
The bigger the outlet and the bigger the third party, the more effect it's going to have. But it's not to say that if you've got 1,000 small blogs talking about you, it's not going to have a similar effect. In fact, one write-up on the LATimes.com website is probably equivalent to several different blogs that are getting equal traffic. Mm-hmm. So it's really based on traffic, reputation, the article that's written, the journalist. But at the end of the day, it's content. It's how much content you have out there, how many people are talking about you and what you do, how positive the content is versus negative. are people associating your product or service with the content that's out there? And ultimately, that's what it comes down to.
Okay. There's a lot of companies out there right now that are like, okay, social media, we got to have it. We need to get into it. But they're not familiar with the language. So there's all these predators out there that say, you got to be on Facebook, you got to be on Twitter, you pay me $25,000 a month, and I'm going to get you all of this stuff. And then they go home and they open up a Twitter page, a Facebook page, throw you up on MySpace and LinkedIn, and call it a day. What makes a good social media person as opposed to someone out there who's just
well, you know, everybody now in marketing and PR claims to be a social media guru. Every PR firm is now having a social media department. I mean, you're seeing it all over the place. People charging, like you said, upwards of $25,000, $30,000 to create these social networks for you and build your network. Let's clarify one thing and kind of get the truth out there. The cost of setting up a Twitter, nothing.
Right.
The cost of setting up a YouTube page, nothing. The cost of setting up a Facebook page, nothing. The cost of setting up a blog, nothing. It's free.
And the time to do it,
5 minutes,
minimal.
Maybe 5 minutes for a Twitter, 5 minutes for a Facebook. So, I mean, going in and setting up this page, it takes a very small amount of time. It's free to do, and a lot of people don't realize this. And, you know, my generation, you know, we kind of grew up with social media, and so we've seen it and we've evolved with it. But the majority of America, you know, who's spending money to get their product or name out there, they don't know. Education is such a key component, you know, and it's not just setting up the network, it's what you do with it. And that's what's important.
So when you go to a client or a prospective client, you are bringing to the table analytics, case studies of what you've done with some of your other clients.
Well, it's important to look at a client, what they're selling, what they're providing, what their service is. Everybody's different. Not everybody needs a Facebook page. One of the most common questions I get is, you know, everyone says that I should have a Facebook page. You know, should I have? Well, what's your service? You know, sometimes a Facebook page is great. Sometimes a Twitter's great. Other times it could actually work against you. You know, I mean,
How
if you're
so?
well, for example, MySpace. Right now, their demographic is primarily younger. We're talking like 13, 14, 15 to 21, 22, 23, and it's primarily used for music and media right now. Well, if you've got a pharmaceutical company and you set up a MySpace page to sell your
little bit of a disconnect.
You know what I'm saying? I mean, it's like, what the hell is this pharmaceutical company doing on MySpace where your audience is a bunch of 13 and 14-year-olds? It doesn't look good for the company. And so what we do is we'll come in and we'll look at your product, we'll look at your service, we'll look at your entire business, and we'll say either yes, you know, a Facebook page would be appropriate and here's the way to go about doing it, or no, we don't even think you should be on Facebook.
Explain to me the value of Twitter. You know, there's a lot of people out there that are like, I need to be on Twitter, but I have no idea what the hell Twitter really is. What is Twitter?
Well, simply put, Twitter is a way to get your message out to a large amount of people in a very short period of time. Twitter is a communication tool. Twitter allows you to communicate with a large number of people in a very simple, and this is the key, a very simple format. We're talking about 140 characters. That's maybe 2 or 3 sentences. It's not a lot. So what Twitter forces people to do is really take their thoughts and their ideas and condense them. And that's kind of key because there's so much information, there's so much media. We're so inundated with just shit and
pages upon pages.
Stuff. It's overwhelming, you know, and so people, they get overwhelmed. Well, Twitter, here, it's 2 lines. It's simple. Here it is. And that's actually, if you look at kind of like the root of what Twitter is, it's what we've been doing in PR for years and years, is simplification. It's taking a big picture story or idea and just cutting it down and making it simple into a few lines. That's why Twitter is so effective. At the same time, Twitter can be a massive, massive waste of time. If you're not using Twitter effectively, it can not only waste, you can spend your entire day doing nothing, but you know, you can actually hurt your business. If you own a business and you've got 20,000 people following you, and you're telling, you know, people every time you use the restroom, or, you know, I just walked out of the mall, or useless information like teenagers do.
So when is it smart for a company to get on Twitter? You say some of these things don't need it, but it's so easy to get on and it's so simple and doesn't cost any money. How does it hurt to be on it?
Unlike Facebook and MySpace, I think every company should have a Twitter account. In fact, I think if a company doesn't have a Twitter account right now, they should set one up. Reason being, number one, it shows that you're tied in with social network. There's no doubt that Twitter's got a massive impact on society. We're talking about millions and millions and millions of people that go on Twitter every single day, that are tweeting every single second. To not be on Twitter, considering it's free and takes you 2 seconds to set up, is ridiculous. It'd be like someone walking into your office and saying, I want to offer you free consulting for a month. And you saying, no thank you, I'm busy. So a lot of times we'll hear, I'm too busy to get on Twitter. I have enough going on in my life. I don't want to have to worry about one more thing. That extra thing could be the one thing that sets you apart from your competition.
Okay. Hey, dude, thanks for coming down,
Marcus,
man. I really
thanks a lot.
appreciate it.
I appreciate it.
So TylerBarnettPR.com. Check it out. Get all of his contact info. If you have any questions about social media, this is the guy to go to. And thanks for click and play. I'm Marcus Vadas. This is On Air, and we are out.